Hi, welcome to this part of my review featuring Unknown Armies, Book 1, Play. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review, where the characters try to fight the status quo while achieving their objectives through occult means, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about identities. Abilities are broad, but they have some important limits. First off, everyone has them, or nearly everybody. They are general, which means that if characters were only built around abilities, everyone would have varying degrees of sameness. There's no ability that covers healing spells, or being a world-class chef, or singing a song. More importantly, abilities change and they shrink. That's part of their charm, but also a hassle if the guy you're counting on to be the party's face man takes a series of shocks to violence and isolation. These issues are addressed with identities. These are skills or traits or qualities that get better with time and are more versatile than abilities and more unique, and certainly more reliable. You have at least 2 identities, and you can have as many as 4 if you wish. When it comes to the points that you can invest in these identities, if you want a standard experience, it is up to 120 percentiles. If you want a more over-the-top game, you might be able to spend 140 percentiles or even up to 160. It's all up to you and the game master. In the course of the game, you can roll that identity much of the time. Identities are specific roles or positions that are either chosen or are uncommon enough that they are not covered by abilities. Identities can perform tasks for which abilities are otherwise rolled, and that is covered in the Under Features section. The most commonplace uses of identities are going to be obvious. If your identity is cowboy, it's not much of a stretch to imagine it includes understanding why this cow is better than that one, and riding and lassoing things. If your identity is beautician, presumably it covers makeup and haircuts and eyebrow threading. So you can use your identities in many different situations. But rather than let unclear identities get bogged down with arguments, it's helpful to nail down a few things they do for sure. These, the most commonplace uses of an identity, the roles you make with them all the time, are that identity's features. Every normal identity substitutes for one ability. Weird mystic powers break the rules, pretty much by definition, so they don't get to sub in for connect or struggle usually. Most of the time, you want to roll an identity, and some of the time, you wind up falling back on an ability. Abilities are sort of the laundry day sweatpants of task rolls. Nonetheless, there are going to be times when an ability is greater than the identity which substitutes for it. What do you do then? You choose. If you roll the identity, you might succeed, but even if you fail, you get an experience notch and are more likely to succeed next time. If you roll the ability, you're more likely to get it right, but if you get it wrong, there isn't even a consolation prize. How dire is your need? If you have to roll at all, it's probably pretty important. If you don't want to make those tough choices, then just make sure your budget of identity points isn't spread thin over too many options. Now let's talk about the features of identities. When you define your identity, choose an ability it supplants or substitutes for, and pick 2 features from this particular section of features in the book. As mentioned, you can only pick ones that make sense to the game master. You can't expect the game master to run a good game for characters who are absurdist caricatures. Now let me give you a couple of examples when using features. You have the Casts Rituals feature. Book 3 Reveal of Unknown Armies describes many mysterious rites that, if performed correctly and with intense desire, yield no-kidding magical effects. If you take an identity with this feature, something about it relates to performing magical rituals, such as Thelemic Initiate, Hoodoo Woman. You can roll the identity to activate minor rituals. More than that, you can roll the identity to perform significant rituals too, as long as you've got the magical charge or charges needed for that ritual. This feature shouldn't be confused with the Use Gutter Magic feature, although it's often paired up with it. When it comes to charges, They are like invisible, immaterial magic batteries. Adepts can make them out of nothing more than bad intentions and stubbornness. Other people have to get them other ways. Casts Rituals is for thaumaturgy and prepared magic based on years of research and study. Gutter Magic is improvisational rituals made up on the spot. Avatar and Adept identities come with this feature baked in. Then you have the Evaluates a Meter feature. If your identity gives you insight into people, you can give it a feature that lets you assess one of their shock meters. Pick one of the 5, and after spending a little time with someone, just enough that a cold read is plausible, roll the identity. Depending on what you get, you find out just how far off normalcy's baseline this person has strayed. As the game begins, it's presumed that you've successfully evaluated the meter of everyone with whom you have a relationship. So this way, when you obtain a fumble, this person is a stone-faced cipher. It's kinda freaking you out. If you obtained a matched failure or failure, you get nothing. If you obtain a success, you can tell if they have more hardened notches than you, or fewer in the meter. If you obtain a matched success, you know if they have a much greater or lesser supply of hardened notches on the meter. If you obtain a crit, it's the same as a matched success, and you also know if they have a permanent insanity from having 5 fails in the meter. So there are many features to customize your identities, such as medical, provides firearm attacks, therapeutic, provides wound threshold, resists shock to a meter, and so forth. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about improving identities, and you will take a look at the basic character creation process. I think that the way this game handles identities is quite fun. You're going to be looking for those moments, those situations and tasks where your identities become relevant. And it's also going to be quite entertaining to find the right features for your particular identity. And remember, an identity could be anything. If you want to be a frustrated rock star, or perhaps a successful mathematician, a suave persuader, or a hard-boiled detective, all of that fits into the game. And you can further shape those identities with the percentile points, with the features tying both the theme and the mechanics of the game together quite neatly. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.